Hello everyone. Now in this presentation, we are going to discuss about the Contract Labor Regulation and Abolition Act 1970 under the Safety, Health, Environmental Regulations, and that is under legislation part. So under this legislation part, one of the act is Contract Labor Act, and this act contains 35 sections and 7 chapters. And from the name itself, you can understand it is applicable for the contract labor, right? So chapter 1 is related to the preliminary aspects like short title, extent, commencement, and applications are given. So it is called as Contract Labor Regulation and Abolition Act 1970, and it extends to the whole of India, and it is applicable from the date of notification in the official gazette. So it applies to every establishment in which 20 or more workmen are employed or were employed on any day of the preceding 12 months as contract labor. So if it is contract given to the labor for 12 months, then it is also applicable for that, or for every establishment. So establishment may be the office, that may be some construction work, that may be some expansion work, whatever it may be. So there are different points covered under this establishment. So if that establishment in which 20 or more workmen are employed, that is also applicable for this Contract Labor Act. To every contractor who employs or who employed on any day of the preceding 12 months, 20 or more workmen. Then there are various definitions under this act, and that is like appropriate government. So that government means that may be a state government or central government related to that condition. Then a workman. So now in this case, it is a contract labor. Then contractor. So the contractor means who is given the contract or who is going to sign that contract with that labor. So that employer or the person who is given the contract. So that is called as contractor. Then controlled industry means any industry, the control of which by the union has been declared by any central act to expedient in the public interest. Establishment, we have already discussed. So offices or the department of government or local authority, any place where an industry, trade, business, manufacturer or occupation is carried on. Then prescribe means prescribe under these rules and acts. Principal employer, so the person who is having the ultimate control on this establishment is called as principal employer in this case. Then wages, that shall have the meaning that is the same, that is called as payment with reference to the Payment of Wages Act. Then workman, so that may be a skilled workman, semi-skilled or unskilled, manual, supervisory, technical, clerical, etc. Then chapter 2 is related to the advisory board. Now we can understand if there is an advisory board who can gives us the advices at various levels. For that purpose, we need a central government advisory committee and a state government advisory committee. So for that purpose, there are different rules. That is Central Advisory Board and State Advisory Board. So under this chapter 2, under the advisory board title, central government is going to form the advisory board, that is called as Central Advisory Board. So for this advisory board, that is for central board, there should be a chairman from the central government, a chief labor commissioner, that is ex officio, and there are 11 to 17 members. So that may represent the government, railways, coal industry, mining industry, the contractors, the workmen, and any other interest, which in the opinion from the central government ought to be represented at the central board. Now there are various functions and duties of these members, then chief labor commissioners and the chairman. So all the guidelines are given by the central governments. In a similar way, there is a state advisory board, so which is formed by the state government. And on the same line, the state board consists of a chairman, a labor commissioner, that is ex officio, and there are members from 9 to 11. In the central board, that is 11 to 17, but in this case, for the state board, it is 9 to 11. And the functions and the duties of all these members is given by the state government. Then the fifth section is related to the power to constitute committee. So central board as well as the state board has the power that they can constitute the different committees for the various activities that may be prescribed under this act and rule, and which may be needed time to time. So with reference to that particular establishment, if they require that this type of work required a particular member or expert person or number of persons, then they can form the different committees. So that may be under central board committee, that may be under state board committee. That is depending on the condition, they are having the authority and power to form these types of committees. Then chapter 3 is related to the registration of establishment employing contract labor. So all the contract labor should register themselves, and all the establishment that may be a office or some building or some other things, that is also should be registered. So for these all contract labor, that contract labor should go for the registered establishment. So this sixth section is related to the appointment of registering officer. So some gazetted officer should be appointed from the government, and that may be called as registering officers, under which he can or she can guide to the contractor for the registration process. Then section 7 is related to the registration of certain establishment. So that principal employer's responsibility is to go for this registration of that employment, so that establishment. And appropriate government, then with reference to different notification, notices and these rules, and the officer which is nominated by this appropriate government is going to guide regarding this registration procedure for this certain establishment. Then section 8 is related to the revocation of registration in certain cases. So if officer thinks that it is not acceptable or acceptable level, then they can suggest some corrections or modifications in the application of this registration process of establishment to the principal employer, or they can reject that registration, and they can mention the reasons or the causes why they are going to reject that registration, and what is the timeline for that principal employer is given for the modification or the corrections. In case if the registration is not done, then that non-registered establishment can't accept the contract labors, and the contract labor laws and their rules and regulations are not applicable for this non-registered organization or establishment. Then prohibition of employment of contract labor. So appropriate government or the boards, central or state boards, may prohibit by notification of the official gazette the employment of that contract labor in any process operation or other work in any establishment. So there should be some strong reason, valid reasons why these central state boards or appropriate government is going to prohibit these things. That is the contract labor. So that should be understand, and then only that should be communicated to that contract labor. Then the next provision is related to the licensing of contractors. That is chapter 4. So with reference to this chapter 4, the section 11 is related to the appointment of licensing officer. So we have to appoint a particular person, that is a gazetted officer of government, who can handle these licensing activities, whether these license is applicable to that particular principal employer or not, whether to give the approval, whether to reject that license, and on which basis we have to reject or approve that license. So all these things can be handled by this licensing officer. Then 12 is related to the licensing of contractors. So the contractor should apply for the licensing to that gazetted officer or the licensing officer appointed by that appropriate government. And in case if any issues are there related to the conditions as to hours of work, fixation of wages, and other essential amenities in respect of contract labor, so with reference to section 35, they should ask the guidelines to that licensing officers, and then only they have to finalize these things. Then 13 is related to the grant of license. So if the application is okay and if it is approved by that licensing officers, then that license can be provided to this licensing contractor. So after getting the licensing from the officer to the contractor, then contractor can appoint various contract labors with reference to these different sections and contract labor rules. Then 14 is related to the revocation, suspension, and amendment of license. So in case if any issues are there related to these licenses, so that may be a suspension of license due to some solid reason, or that may be a revocation, and there may be some modification, rectification, or the amendment in that license. So if it is applicable to that license contractor, then that should be conveyed or communicated to that license contractor to know about the latest changes or updated changes. And they have to follow all these updated changes now. The section 15 is related to the appeal. So if any license contractor is having an objection related to this suspension or rejection of this license, or in the modification or amendment of this license points or the parameters, then he or she can appeal for that license authority within the 30 days. Then chapter 5 is related to the welfare and health of contract labor. So under this chapter 5, the section 16 is related to the canteens. So appropriate government may make rules requiring that in every establishment to this act applies, wherein work requiring employment of contract labor is likely to continue for such period as may be prescribed, and wherein contract labor numbering 100 or more is ordinarily employed by the contractor. So one or more canteens shall be provided by and maintained by that contractor for such contract labor without prejudice to the generality of the foregoing power. Such rules may be provided for the date by which the canteen shall be provided, the number of canteen that shall be provided, and the standard in respect of the construction, accommodation, furniture, and all the other equipments of the canteens, and the foodstuffs which may be observed or served, wherein and charges which may be made therefore. So all the things related to the canteen should be observed by that officers, and all these guidelines should be followed by that licensing contractor related to these canteens. Then 17 is related to the restrooms. So many times the restrooms are required for contract laborers. So in every place wherein contract labor is required to halt at night in connection with the work of an establishment to which this act applies, and in which work requiring employment of contract labor is likely to continue for such period as may be prescribed. So we have to make the provision, means that contractor license should be make the provisions for these contract labor regarding the restrooms. So restrooms or the alternative accommodation to be provided under the subsection 1 shall be sufficiently lighted and ventilated. So lighting provisions, that is illumination provision and ventilation, should be provided into that restroom so that that contract labor can feel the comfortable atmosphere or the environment in that restroom. And section 18 is related to the other facilities. So apart from the canteen and restroom, some other facilities should be there, like drinking water, then sufficient number of latrines and urinals. So all these things should be provided for this contract labor. So these are the basic facilities. And then in addition to that, washing facilities should be provided to this contract labor. Then first aid facilities should be also there at that workplaces in case of any injury. Then we must go for the first aid treatment. And that is why first aid facilities should be provided by this contractor licensee. Then 20 is related to the liability of principal employer in certain cases. So if any amenity required to be provided under section 17, 18, 19, that is canteen facility, then restroom facilities, drinking water facility, latrine facility, urinal facility, and washing facilities. So for the benefit of this contract labor employed in that establishment is not provided by the contractor within the time, then such amenity shall be provided by the principal employer. If contract labor license is not going to provide the facilities under 16, 17, 18, 19, then principal employer is responsible to provide all these facilities. So all expenses should be incurred by the principal employer only. Then 21 is related to the responsibility of payment of wages. So again, within the prescribed time, all these wages should be paid to the contractor labor on the decided basis. So that may be on the weekly basis, monthly basis, or daily wages. So sometimes some daily wages are there, sometimes the weekly payments are there, and sometimes the monthly payment are there. So depending on the conditions, depending on the requirement, that contractor license should be given the wages to the contract labor time to time. If it is not the case, then again principal employer is responsible to give or to provide all these wages to the contract laborers. Then chapter 6 is related to the penalties and procedures. So some obstructions may be there, that is covered under 22. So whoever obstruct an inspector in the discharge of these duties under this act, or refuses or willfully neglects to afford that inspector any reasonable facility for making any inspection, examination, inquiry, or investigation authorized by or under this act in relation to the establishment to which or a contractor to whom this act applies, shall be punishable with imprisonment for a term of may extends to the 3 months, or with fine may extends to 500 rupees. So If any obstruction is there, then there may be a provision for the 3 months imprisonment or 500 rupees fine or both. Then 23 is related to the contraventions of provisions regarding the employment of contract labor. So whoever contravenes any provision of this act or any rules made under these provisions restricting or regulating the employment of contract labor or contravenes any conditions of license granted under this act shall be punishable with imprisonment for a term which may extend to 3 months and fine may extend to 1,000 rupees. So here again, if there is a contraventions of provisions regarding the employment of contract labor, then there is a provision of 1,000 rupees fine and imprisonment of 3 months or both. And if any other offenses are there, then again there is a provision of fine of 1,000 rupees and 3 months imprisonment or both. So offenses by companies. If the offenses is done by the company, then again there is a provision of penalty, and that may be in terms of imprisonment or that may be in terms of money. So depending on the condition against that company is going to punish by the appropriate government. So that may be covered the director, manager, managing agents, etc. So whatever it may be. Because the company means any body corporate and includes a firm or other association. Because sometimes some ownerships are there, sometimes partnerships are there, sometimes the corporate level or the organizations is there. So depending upon that, the designations are there, and with reference to that designations, they are punishable. Then 26 is related to the cognizance of offense. So no court shall take cognizance of any offense under this act, except on a complaint made by or with the previous sanction in writing, the inspector and no court inferior to that of a presidency magistrate or a magistrate of the first class shall try any offense punishable under this act. Then 27 is related to the limitation of prosecutions. So again, in a similar way of 26, no court shall take cognizance and offense under this act, and provided that where the offense consists of disobeying a written order made by inspector, complaint thereof may be made within the 6 months. Then chapter 7 is related to the miscellaneous. So whatever the points covered, not covered under the chapter 1 to 6, that is covered under miscellaneous part. So 28 is related to the inspecting staff. So appropriate government and the boards, central or state, may appoint the different officers, that is called as inspectors, for a specific purpose, and they can enter at all reasonable hours with such assistance, being persons in the service of the government or any local or other public authority, as it thinks fit, any premises or place where contract labor is employed. So he can examine any person whom he finds in any such premises or place and who he has reasonable cause to believe is a workman employed therein. Require any person giving out work and workman to give any information which is in his power. So entry anytime, examination to any person, and requiring or taking the interview or giving the information from any person. These are the different authorities and powers to that inspector. Then cease to take copies of such register, record of ages or notices or portions thereof as he may consider relevant. So if he thinks that this page should be carried out by that inspector or it is important or sometimes for some particular investigation purpose or for the complaint purpose, if you want to copy that record or take the photograph, etc., so that can be the power of that inspector again. So exercise such other powers as may be described. So there are various powers which is given to that inspector. The section 29 is related to the registers and other records to be maintained. So all the things which is inspections, that may be a supervision, that may be observations, all the things should be recorded and registered, and that is the responsibility of the principal employer. So every principal employer and every contractor shall maintain all these registers and records, because anytime some other inspectors or authorities can also ask for the same. And 30 is related to the effect of laws and agreement inconsistent with this act. So the provision of this act shall have effect notwithstanding anything inconsistent therewith contained in any other law or in the terms of any agreement or contract of service or in any standing orders applicable to the establishment, whether made before or after commencement of this act. Then 31 is related to the power to exempt in special cases. So appropriate government is having the powers to exempt some of the special cases, and with reference to that conditions and the environment, they can exempt that special cases accordingly. 32 is related to the protection of action taken under this act. So if any action is taken with reference to this act, that can be protected by the appropriate government or the central and state board, depending on the conditions again. 33 is related to the power to give directions. So central government is going to give directions to the government of any state to carrying out the execution in the state of this particular act. Then 34 is related to the power to remove difficulties. If the central government officers and the central board, if he thinks that this part or this point should be removed from this act, then they are having the power to remove the difficulties. They are also having the power to make the rules with reference to section 35. So appropriate government is going to make any rules for that states or for a particular state or for the all over India. So depending on the requirement, central government is having the power to make the rules. State government is also having the power to make the rules with reference to this sections and act. So this is all about the Contract Labor Act and all these 35 sections and 7 chapters. Thank you.